Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another episode of Hold That Show. And no, we're not live. Life happened, so we're pre-recording this. Obviously, this is not the uh, the the Chelsea edition, the special edition about Chelsea. That will be next week. But we did want to talk about a couple things from last weekend. I'm the host, Abdallah Ini, and I'm gonna let my co-host introduce himself.
Yes, obviously, yes, Luke here. Yeah, we didn't finish the job last week. We treated last week as a training ground exercise, and evidently, if you don't take your chances, then the other team will. Um, but obviously, yeah, we'll go into that anyway. And then obviously, yeah, the whole manager merry-go-round. So that's going to be interesting to discuss because a lot of teams are going to be without managers, and a lot of teams are going to be looking at removing their managers. So yeah, it's going to be a good conversation. There might even be like manager swaps, to be honest, in some cases. So yeah, man, let's get into it.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Now, first off, we'll go into the games that weren't our teams because there was four big games in terms of the FA Cup and one big game in the Premier League. The big game in the Premier League was Tottenham. They went to Craven Cottage and they got spun. Just like Tottenham to get spun out there, out their boots after a big win against Aston Villa to come up against Fulham and Muniz, man looking like the Don from Goal.
Yeah, word.
Muniz came in and spun their claw, and I'm just gonna just a quick couple seconds on that. Tottenham v Villa is going to be a very interesting top four race to see who gets fourth out of them two clubs. They're both trying to bottle it. To be honest, Unai Emery has the bottling gene. He did it with Arsenal and Tottenham. They're just bottlers anyway, so them two are just they're trying to grab the bottle, see who's got the biggest bottle out here. But I digress. We move on from that. There's no need for any more mentions of those two dead clubs. Anyway, no offense. No, all the offense. Bun Aston Villa, bun Tottenham. But it was a magical FA Cup weekend. Three great games, one ball fest. Um, there's not much to talk about the ball fest. City do what they do best. Pass a team to sleep, and Newcastle weren't fighting. The Magpies, they went down. They weren't flying in the air. They got shot down. They laid down. Bernardo Silva hit them with a two double dagger, and there's not really much else to talk about that game. But the three other games, they were magical. Coventry doing the unthinkable in the 90th minute. Then we go on to the next day on the Sunday. That was a super Sunday if I ever saw it. First Chelsea game. Now when I talk about that game, it had everything. It had penalty misses. It had free kicks going to the sky. I'm pretty sure it's still in
Oh,
orbit. It had a
oh,
Hall of Shame performance by Raheem Shillings because he's not worth sterling. He's worth shillings right now. Um, Disgraceful performance by him outside of the assist, but some great goals, great bits of football, and absolutely terrible defending as well. That game had everything and under the sun.
mhm.
Um, we'll start with that game because that's my team's game. That game, it was an interesting one because we get the goal, we're cruising, we get the penalty, we're thinking, oh, 2-0. Raheem Sterling says, listen here, young blood, it's mine. And he does the tamest of penalties. He rolls it into the keeper's hands. Then after that, you're thinking, okay, so we could have been 2-0 up by now. All right, let's see how this game progresses. It keeps going. First half's looking all right. We get the second. Raheem Sterling, makes it up for himself. But but before that, he has the one-on-one miss as well. That was crazy. But he gets the assist to Cole Palmer. Second half, and I don't know what the Sassy was doing. I don't know where the keeper was. Between the both of them, a bunch of bozos. Bozo moments between both of them. That's probably the longest distance goal the Sassy's gonna score in his career, because he ain't getting any further than that. If anything, that's a wonderful finish. He chipped the keeper. Um, then after that, Mavidi spun Gusto. He's the first man I've ever seen spun Gusto like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So Gusto, most of the game was a great performance, but that one moment of weakness, and he just whipped it in, and that was a goal. And it's 2-2, and you're thinking, take off Sterling now. But nope, you take off Mudryk. You take off Mudryk, Poch. We carry on, we carry on. You finally take off Sterling, and then things start to happen when we have the likes of Noni, the likes of Carney coming on, and the link up play between Palmer and Carney for the third goal was absolutely delicious. Lovely back heel through the legs of the keeper, and then the final goal, defensively sorted by Gusto, passes it into Noni. He kind of misses up his feet, weaves in and out, takes the shot, deflection, but it, boom, boom, a little nick on the leg from it, but a lovely finish, a lovely setup for that fourth goal, and a win that looked comfortable but was very uncomfortable throughout that game, and another round where we made a championship side look like they were Champions League. This is FA Cup. This is not the UCL. We can't be struggling like this. And I'm not gonna blame Sterling for everything of this game. He did have a bad performance. It does happen, but he needs to mature and grow up in terms of his decision making. He shouldn't have taken the penalty. That's Palmer's bread and butter. I know he's scored a couple free kicks, so free kicks is fine. But the shot on the 1-on-1 where it went so wide, and then the free kick, as I said, it hit the space station. That's how high it went. And yeah, it was an okay game overall. It was a great game for a neutral, I would say, because it was end to end stuff. Both teams looked like they wanted to win. Both teams were just giving it all. Leicester City were like, yeah, this is a one shot to go to Wembley, so they wanted it. They wanted it. Obviously, the red card in between. It was a red card. Terrible challenge by that young man. Is what it is. Jackson showing his endeavor. And you know what? A lot of the players showed up today. A couple didn't, but it is what it is. But I would like to hear your thoughts, Luke, on the Chelsea Leicester game, and maybe a little bit on the other two FA Cup games as well. In terms of maybe not so much Man City Newcastle, but the Coventry, and if you did watch them, and what you thought about them.
So obviously I watched the Chelsea game and I watched that live with yourself. And it's funny because two of the games, my game and your game, was a tale of difference, in a sense where Liverpool were playing like they won the match already, cruising control, complacent, whereas Chelsea were playing like Leicester was the Premier League team. They took them for granted, and Leicester were up for a fight. They smelt blood, and they were willing to attack you guys. And fair play to them. It just goes to show that they shouldn't have gone into the championship, because they, pound for pound, toe for toe, they went at you and they weren't scared. And that's what you need to be like when you are a championship team. It don't matter if you're gonna make it through to the next round. It doesn't matter if you're gonna get battered. All it matters is that you're giving that 100% effort and you're on that pitch and you're trying to win the game. You're not trying to play pragmatic. You're going at the big giants, and that's exactly what they done to you. I'm indifferent in terms of Sterling. I actually will blame Sterling. I think his performance was shocking. I think for someone that 29, 30 years old, you're actually meant to be a leader. You're probably one of the most high paid players in that team, and you're performing like you're novice. You're performing like you're in your teens. You're performing like you haven't won all those trophies that you won at Man City. I think you should be ashamed of yourself. I think you should hang your head in shame. You're actually allowing an 18, 19-year-old in Cole Palmer to outshine you and actually be a leader of a team when at his age, he shouldn't even be focusing on being a leader. He should be focusing on just his football. But you are so embarrassing and such a disgrace that you're allowing other players um, around you to outshine you, to outclass you. Penalties is not your thing. Cole Palmer has proven that he's the better penalty taker. And I don't care what Pochettino has to say when he says that there isn't a designated penalty taker. It's switched between three players, Enzo, Palmer, and Sterling. No, you as a manager should be designating a penalty taker, a consistent penalty taker. That's what a manager is supposed to do. That's what Fergie does. That's what Klopp does. That's what Arteta does. Like, unless someone in Arsenal is lacking in confidence, then the players will be like, you know what, let you take it. Like Kai Havertz, they gave him the charity case and allowed him to take the penalty. But in most incidences, you have a number one penalty taker. Sterling is not that guy. He's never been that guy when it comes to penalties. So why he thinks that it's okay, you as a big man, a big you, taking a ball out of a young G's hand, knowing full well that he is a successful penalty taker so far, is a disgrace. Hang your head in shame. Because right now, that performance that you delivered that day was absolutely horrendous. It was not of a leader and it was not of a player that's in their late 20s going on 30 years old. You need to be the first on the list to be sold. You do. You do. Because it's no coincidence that the minute Pochettino subbed on Madueke, my Don Dada, my baller, he got subbed on, the game changed. The game changed differently, and you saw the class, the silkiness, the movement, the skill, the pace from Madweke, the technical ability when he came on. You saw it. It was men against boys. He was dominant on that right. And the link up play between him, Palmer being shifted in the cam position, in the number 10 position, you saw different gravy. That is what Pochettino should have done. It's no coincidence, yeah, that when Mudryk came off the pitch, people were booing. They didn't understand why he came off the pitch because they were all pointing at Sterling as to why he was still on that pitch. The minute Sterling came off, again, there's no coincidence why the fans was cheering that decision because that should have been the decision from before. Mudryk on the left, Palmer in the 10, and Madueke on the right. I've said this countless of times. This should be the front four moving forward for Chelsea in the last 10 games. If they ever want to salvage something of their season, that needs to be the front line. Sterling should not play another game now. Another game. He's proved he's past it. He's not on it. He's selfish. He doesn't want to help the team. And I'm not believing that bullshit post that he posted on his Instagram. It's a PR stunt. I do not care. You should not be playing for this team anymore. You shouldn't. You should just be on the bench and then bring you on as a super sub if necessary. Now's the time to start trusting these young G's, these young bloods, the guys that are coming in and actually fighting for Chelsea Football Club. Now is the time to be starting these, man. Sterling is not fighting for Chelsea Football Club. He never started his career there. He's played for all of the big teams, Liverpool, City, and now Chelsea. He's been there, he's done that. He doesn't need to put in 100% effort in because he's already won stuff. Right now, he needs to be on the bench. And Pochettino needs to grow balls and actually make that call because we would be sitting here saying that Leicester should have won that game if certain outcomes didn't happen, if certain substitutions didn't happen. We'd be talking a whole complete different story because Leicester was up for it and they wanted to win that game. So for me, Sterling, as I said, he don't deserve to be in that team. He doesn't deserve to wear that jersey. And number two, I want to be seeing the young G's from now on taking his spot. Number three, at the end of the day, the defense is going to be the defense. Lapses of concentration, lack of communication, these things happen in it. The Sassy, he's been ever present and hasn't been injured all season. He's played every single game. To be honest with you, he's probably allowed one lapse in concentration because it's all been but him in that defense. So he's probably tired. Who knows? Malo Gusto, he's been on form. Listen, it happens. You get skinned. It happens. It is what it is. My one advice to him, like I said to Marjube, when we was watching the game, as a defender, you should not be um um running back towards your goal because you're allowing that attacker to shift his foot and open up space for him to shoot. What Gusto should have really done was check that attacker on his weaker foot so that he's able to put a tackle in. But by going back and jockeying back, you're allowing the attacker to get closer to that box, allowing him to decide what he's going to do. And obviously, we saw what happened. So from listen, he's young, he's gonna make mistakes, but that's just my advice to him is next time jockey him onto his weaker foot and then make a tackle. But all in all, it was a decent Chelsea performance. Like they did play well, and in moments they were fantastic. Football was good. Jackson again was decent. I think that dummy, that turn that he did was just exquisite. And I think he's starting to get into his own and he's starting to get his confidence, which is fantastic to see. I think that needs to happen because no doubt Chelsea are going to look for a Don Dada forward anyway. So I think right now he needs to start performing and putting in performances like this that he's been doing in the last few matches just so that we could put a little doubt in the sporting director's brain or whoever's operating in a transfer. You know, if Jackson is delivering in terms of goal wise and performances, then maybe the transfers decision might change. They might not go for a striker. Ultimately, they still need to go for one. But you know, sometimes it's always good just to have that headache when your actual striker is starting to perform. But yeah, all in all, it was a good game from a neutral point of view. But as a neutral, I am fuming at Sterling. And again, the defense, as I said, these things happen. They've been ever present in general anyway. So they're allowed one lapse in concentration. But obviously they'll bounce back from this. But as I said, Mudryk, Palmer, Madueke, that's the front three that I want to see. I do not want to see Sterling.
Yeah. I think it needs to happen. I think it needs to happen. I think with Sterling, it's come to the stage where I don't think we can sell him because he's on too much money. I think, as I said, when we talk about Chelsea as full, he's a part of that bad transfer window, which I'll continue to talk about. That first one, and they put him on ridiculous wages. He's on 325 a week. So the only teams that can afford that are probably the Saudis, but he doesn't look like he wants to leave. He wants to stay in London, so we have him for 3 more years. So the only way we can get rid of him is if the next manager has cojones and just puts him on the bench and says you're not playing. Or puts him reserves or puts him in the under 21s and says, yeah, you're just going to be there doing the Phil Jones thing. You know, just chilling at home. You know, spending time with the kids and that. But we move. As I said, three great FA Cup games. City, Newcastle's formality. Well done to Coventry for getting to the final as well. But we move to the main event. There's a lot to say about this game. There is a lot to say about this game. I feel like Jurgen Klopp made a couple mistakes going into this game. His first mistake was his lineup on the Thursday. For me, you're 5-1 up on aggregate. There is no need for you to put on all the big hitters for that game. It's Dynamo. I do not care who it is. It's Europa League. You're going to win the game. Furthermore, first of all, you do that. Fair enough. You're 4-0 after 20, 25 minutes and you're not bringing off players. Salah did a whole 90. You brought in Van Dijk in the last 20, 30 minutes. Man, talk about all these kids, but you can't even play them for this game. You should have just played all the kids. At worst, you would have lost maybe 1-0, 2-0 and still gone through. At worst. At best, they would have had a wonderful day out and won. And then guess what happens in the FA Cup final? Your players get tired. Salah do 90 minutes against Dynamo's nobody, but can't even do 90 minutes against Man United. Now, we can go into the goals and all these things, but Jurgen Klopp, you made the mistake. You made the bad decisions in that game. And the reality is, Jurgen Norbert Klopp, what you said to that reporter afterwards, even though he deserved it because he was out asking a dumb question. And yeah, he probably doesn't know what it's like to be in football like that. Yeah, he probably is too big to be doing two games a week. He barely probably could do a five-a-side. So let's be honest, these reporters, yeah, I can barely do a five-a-side. So you know what, Jurgen, I get that. I get that one. But I would say this. When it comes to the game overall, it was amazing. It had everything. I swear Harvey Elliott thought he won it when he scored. Man ran to Klopp, he hugged him, but it wasn't enough. And to me, it showed me that there's some weaknesses to Liverpool's game at time. They kind of have look. Man United do the same thing every game. They get hit 101 times, 9 times like their name is 50 Cent, and they survive some reason. And not only do they survive, they win at the death. Now, for me, the second biggest mistake you made in that game, apart from taking off Salah too early and playing him 90 minutes to Thursday before, who were the leaders to say that, oh, let's push everyone forward for that corner kick and leave one man behind and think that's okay? Knowing full well is the counter can be on, and the counter was on. And Amad Diallo, I ain't gonna lie, that's the coldest way to end a game. Man did it like it was NBA. Man did the walk off. Man scored the goal, put out the shirt like Messi, yeah. You know what my name is. Got sent off and then walked off to break his fast because man did all that. Man did the walk off goal, and I gotta say this: Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, you need to get your revenge the next time you meet them. Luckily, you have a game against them in the league because I'm not allowing my rivals in your last season, Jurgen Klopp, to spin me off my clock like that. To hit me with a last second dagger, to hit me with a walk-off shot like it's NBA, like he's Steph Curry in the paint. Man put out the shirt like he was Messi. Nah. So I'm next Amad Diallo, yeah. Nah, no. Next game, it needs to be a 7-0 dropping. Liverpool need to come back with revenge on mine. Liverpool need to come back fresh. Liverpool need to remind United where they are in the standings, because that can't run. Now, I understand some fans are going to say, oh, it's only the FA Cup. This is his last season. Every tournament matters this season. You wanted Quad. We wanted Jurgen Quad. I wanted it because I think he deserves it, because I don't want to have his name be smirched by the likes of Arsenal fans if they win the league. So I'm going for Liverpool to win the league if it's not City. Anybody but Arsenal. But Jurgen, for your own thing, for your own legacy, the FA Cup is a bigger deal than Europa League, in my opinion. I personally believe it's a bigger tournament. So for me, for you to do what you did on the Thursday led to what happened on the Sunday, and then you complain about players being tired, taking off players early. That's no excuses. You made them tired. You made them do round trips to Sporting nobody to I don't even know what the team name was. I'm just saying.
Sparta Prague.
Who? Yeah, that's exactly. No pop. Man's got Man United
You're a
on
fool.
Sunday.
You're a fool.
Man United on Sunday, and man's doing up full starting lineup to Sparta nobody, yeah? Because they don't even deserve the second day. Prague Prague's a holiday destination. Man, you them go there to drink up. You know what I'm saying? Free, cheap drinks and that. And you got big Manchester on Sunday, and you allowed to yourself to lose the derby. And that's the biggest. That's one of the biggest derbies in football. So you need your revenge. Man United didn't deserve it, but it is what it is. You know, sometimes you ride your own luck. And I would say this, Kobe Mano, congratulations on getting the call up. You shouldn't have got the call up though, in my opinion, because you don't deserve to waste your time riding the bench on Gareth Southgate's bench. Because let's be honest, he ain't gonna play you.
Mhm.
Yeah, you should have Ben Whited it. You should have ring ring. No, I'm good, mate. Put the phone down. Cause you're too good of a baller to be wasting time. Go on holiday for a couple weeks. Take some time off. Cause you've been carrying Man United on your back all season. He's a baller, man.
But
He's a baller.
mhm.
If anything, change your allegiances to whatever country you're from. I don't know. It was one of the
It's
African
therefore
nations.
Africa, fam.
Yeah, one of the
Therefore
African
Africa.
nations. Cause like
Hmm.
England's just gonna waste you. They're gonna treat you like Michael Carrick, yeah, on the bench for no reason. Yeah, because let's be honest, we know if Michael Carrick was playing back in the day, England would have won something because he would have added solid DM for that defense. But yeah, I digress. And in your position, you got Declan Rice ahead of you. So let's be honest, you're not gonna start. You what? You're just there what for good times and sunshine. Go Dubai, man. Do the warm weather training that Arsenal did because they've been on fire ever since. But in terms of we go back, I digress to that game. I would say, yeah, Jurgen Klopp flopped in that game, and it's 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 very surprising to see a manager of that level make the mistakes he did, do what he did on Thursday, and then lead to what happened on the Sunday. But it was an end-to-end game. It was great for the neutral. I loved every minute of it. I enjoyed that game from start to ending. It was non-stop. It was everything a derby should be, except for the fighting. That didn't happen. I needed a bit more beef. I needed a bit more beef. And Hungarian Gerard, Sobozlai, you need to do better. Cause if you're gonna be if you're gonna be if that's gonna be your moniker, I'm gonna need you to show up in these games. Um, and the fact that Kobe Mano was the best midfielder on the pitch, that says a lot. So McAllister, Endo, Sobozlai, all you midfielders, put your heads in shame. This is a derby. You can't be allowing these you them to be fighting more than you. Not today. Not and yeah, man. Ahmed Diallo dagger. Man did the walk off. I'm still. I'm gonna lie to you. I have never seen that on the pitch. Man said, "Don't matter, Seke Diallo. I'm taking that." But that's enough for me as the neutral. It was a great game. Loved every minute. But yeah, and Man United, you're lucky you got Coventry in the semi-final because you know what? What's even funnier about this? Man United would do this, but then lose to Coventry in the semi. And I can see this happening. I can see Coventry making the final because they're just gonna, rock up thinking they're gonna win, and Coventry's gonna be about it, about it. But Luke Adonis, Liverpool fan, um, wanting to win everything for Klopp, doing it for Klopp. It wasn't done. What's your say on the game, and what's your say about what he did on Thursday as well, and his comments to the reporter, telling him to hit the gym and hit
I
them
mean,
weights.
the reporter came out and I saw the photo of the reporter. The reporter's not even fat. He's actually a skinny man. So, and he obviously came out and said Klopp didn't mean it like that, but it was funny. In regards to Thursday, I agree. We shouldn't have played the big hitters. Klopp's normally known for the second leg. If we wrapped it up in the first leg, we tend to play young G's in the second leg. So I'm actually surprised that he went with the big hitters. I don't know why he did it. We were 4-0 up in the first half. Yes, we should have made those changes to freshen things up if we were to play the big hitters, which we did. So I don't know why he did it. It doesn't make any sense. I guess it's good because, again, number one, match fitness. Number two, rhythm. Number three, you're taking the competition seriously, which is good. But ultimately, by you doing that has led to tired legs on Sunday. And this isn't the first time that we played till extra time. We played extra time against Chelsea, and it wasn't too long ago. So evidently, our players was always going to be tired. My issue with that Sunday game was we've had too many chances to wrap United in a spliff. But we treated the game like a training ground exercise. The guys were too complacent and they were just treating United like they were a championship team. We were 2-1 up, but there was no urgency. We were playing like we won the game. Literally, we won the game. And we had what, about 40 minutes left. And these men are moving like we won the game already. And we're 2-1 up. No urgency, no drive. And to me, games like this need to happen. They do. Because if you're trying to win the league and you think that you can go into each game moving complacent, certain teams, or sometimes, in most cases, you need a reality check. And this is the reality check for them. And if anything, I'm glad this happened. And it could have happened to an even better team against Manchester United. I'm glad this happened because to me, the fact here that you were trying to take the piss out United and think that, oh, they're shit, they're not gonna win. The fact that they did win, shame on you. Shame on you. And I'm glad you got embarrassed like that because I hope that this pain, you can bring this pain into the next remaining games that you have and treat each game as a final and treat each game that these teams are going to be up for it. So I'm glad this happened. And when we do see Manchester United in 3 weeks' time, I hope that you have this memory stored in your memory bank and actually take the game seriously and put them in a spliff. Because to me, I felt like you guys disrespected Manchester United. Manchester United are bummy. Yes, they're dead. Yes, everybody all knows this. But you guys performed like they actually are dead and that you know that they're dead and you didn't want to take them seriously. And that's exactly why we lost the game. That's exactly why we lost the game. We did errors that we normally don't do. We're dribbling, holding on to the ball for too long, making a misplaced pass which led to a counter attack. Instead of clearing a ball, we're dribbling infield. Instead of going outwards, we're dribbling infield, losing the ball. Like taking too many touches on a ball and making stupid decisions. Liverpool's not known for making stupid decisions. But the fact that you did that, yes, does show that you're tired, yes. But number two, showed that you wasn't taking United seriously. So as I said, I'm glad that happened. Also, another point, there's no killers when it comes to counter-attack. Liverpool used to be the most fast transition team in counter-attack in the league. Not even just in Europe. In the league, we were the fastest when we had Mane, Firmino, and Salah. Now that Firmino and Mane aren't there, we have guys that don't know what to do when it comes to transitioning. When it comes to turnover into a counter attack, we don't know. If Salah's not the one making the decisions, then all of our guys don't know what to do. Firmino used to be the best when it came to counter attack because he always used to find a pass straight away, always used to make the right decisions. Even Diego Jota to a certain degree, but obviously he's injured. Right now, in the likes of Gakpo, who slows down our counter attack, it's like he plays in slow motion. Diaz, who holds onto the ball for too long, in Nunes, who's too busy trying to run offside. We have nobody that knows how to finish a counter attack or even set up a counter attack. And that is the problem throughout that
Mhm.
whole game. We had a 5v2 situation. 5v2. And instead of Gakpo passing to Diaz on the left hand side to then whip it into the box for the last three people, he decided to hold on to the ball to then overpass the ball to then lose the breakdown of a counter attack. Now everyone is getting on to Gakpo, and rightfully so. People are saying why not get on to Diaz? No, because Diaz was actually bright. When it comes to dribbling and 1v1s, He's trying to do something. He's trying to be a player. He's actually been in the last couple games that we played. He's actually been one of our best players when it comes to attack. He's not giving up. The only thing that lets Diaz down is his decision making when it comes to the final third. He doesn't know what to do once he's got past the player. So I give him that. At least he's trying. With Gakpo, he is horrendous. Horrendous. And for Klopp to agree to such a signing that doesn't even cater to the style that we play, I know that's a Pep Lingard signing. I know it is. He does not suit the Premier League and he doesn't suit our team. We don't know what his best position is, whether he's a striker, whether he's a left winger, whether he's a cam. Naturally, he's a left winger, likes to float in, but he doesn't have the pace. Or if he does, he's not showing his pace. He's not beating his man 1v1. His lack of decision making is terrible. He doesn't know how to string 2-2 passes together. He's shocking. Absolutely shocking. So, for me, what needs to happen in the summer, Gakpo needs to be on that chopping board list because when the new manager comes in, I don't know if he'll actually be considered as a guaranteed starter or even a bench player, especially if Alonso is around. And number two, sell Diaz because clearly Diaz doesn't have the confidence to finish off his 1v1s. He doesn't have the confidence once he's got past a player to know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. We need killers. You can't go from Sadio Mane and Firmino to then Diaz and Gakpo, and they are actually slowing down our counter attack and slowing down our attack. We can't go from that. So what I actually want to see is go after guys like Nico Williams, Rafael Leao. Like these are the guys that I want to see in my team. Vinicius Junior. That's just to name a few. Musabi Diaby. Leon Bailey. Like rapid guys that can counterattack and actually finish their dinner. That knows what to do when they're in that box. That is exactly what we need. Jota can't come soon enough because that's the only real gunman that I can trust. Whenever I see him in my team starting, I know he's gonna bag a goal because he's the only true predatorial guy when it comes to being in that box. Everyone else is 50-50. We don't know what's going to happen. And I'm glad that he's back in training right now. I'm glad he's back in training. And this international break can't come soon enough because certain mans are going to be returning now. So they're returning it for the crucial running, which is great. But evidently, that match is down to Klopp and is down to complacency and is down to lack of finishing instinct, as always. Every single game we go into, we're wrapping up at least 20 shots, minimum, and we're still not burying our chances. I hope Klopp and Pep has put these man on shooting boot duty in these last couple weeks on international duty. I hope so because we've got Brighton next, and then we've got Sheffield United, and then we've got Manchester United. We've got two home games. I expect a thumping. And then we've got Manchester United away at Old Trafford. That's when we need to do the business. I am not accepting a draw. I am not accepting a loss. We need to turn them over and batter them. But I digress. Well done to Manchester United for getting a win. Ultimately, you know, you stuck in the game. You did well to ride the game out. You did well to perform. Whether you're going to carry that on into the next game, I don't know, because you are 50-50 at best. But credit is where credit's due. We didn't deserve to lose, no, but I'm glad we did lose because, as I said, that will give us a kick up the arse. But well done to Manchester United for getting a win and moving on to the next round. And that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, man. Big talk. Yeah. Gakpo, I think I agree with Gakpo. In terms of Diaz, I'd keep him. I just think you need another striker, maybe like a Tony or someone of that ilk, maybe. another killer in the attack. Um, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next as well. But you did allow a spinning top to score, and he spun on his weaker foot in Anthony, so that happened as well. But that's just an added thing. But we move, and speaking of what's gonna happen next, a lot of teams are asking themselves right now, what's gonna happen next? Here is a list of teams that we know are looking for managers next season: Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, possibly Man United. That's a 50-50. Possibly Chelsea. Who else? Maybe even a Bayern Leverkusen might need a new manager. But
Possibly a Newcastle as well,
possibly a Newcastle,
and a
depending
West
on
Ham.
a West Ham, definitely as well. There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving players, and it's going to be very interesting to see what teams get their first options, their second options, and their third options. Because right now, we're in the time of the manager merry-go-round, and this summer's transfer window is gonna be this transfer window for managers is gonna be just as interesting as the transfer window for players. And it's gonna be very interesting to see who goes where. Now, as we know, Xavi's gonna be out of a job. Xabi Alonso is gonna be very sought after. Ruben Almiron has been talked on a lot as a manager making the move. The Porto manager looks an interesting case. Not many two words on him, but Sergio Conceição is someone that might want to move as well. Then you got the likes of De Zerbi and stuff like that of that ilk as well. And it's going to be even interesting to see what happens if Arsenal do have another season where they don't win, and whether Mikel Arteta might think to himself he needs a move to a bigger club. Who knows? But we're gonna take this moment to. I'm gonna pick a team, and I want you, Luke, to tell me what manager you think is gonna go to that team. Who's they're gonna be their next manager for next season, and your reasons for this. We'll go through each team, and then we'll decide what the next manager could be. And We'll start with Bayern Munich. Who do you believe is gonna be their next manager?
I mean, it makes logical sense for Mourinho to go there just because he's never managed in the German league before. I think that's one league to tick off his list. He's conquered Italy, he's conquered Spain, he's conquered England, he's conquered Portugal. You know, Germany is the last big league on his list, and I think there's no greater team to go to than Bayern Munich on his resume. I think he'll dominate there. I think he'll do good, and I reckon he'll probably win a CL there as well. And it could just be his retirement team personally. If they do not go for him, then ultimately Xavi Alonso is on the list, and potentially Julian Nagelsmann is on the list as well. We all know that Nagelsmann is the Germany national team, so you know maybe they could go for him. Um, but ultimately, personally, obviously, to answer your question, who I would want there, I actually would want Mourinho there just because of the factors that I mentioned, and also just so that Alonso don't go there, so he can go to my team as well. So yeah.
Oh, very very interesting, Mourinho. Do I agree Mourinho can still has it? I believe he does. Do I think he will do well in Germany? I think he will dominate Germany. I think he'll put in a structure for that team that would work. And I think Harry Kane at his best at Tottenham was under Mourinho. That's when you saw him start to track back and be the not just the goal scorer but the creative player, and pick up different positions and different roles. And he said it even in the All or Nothing documentary. I'm gonna make you the best player possible. And when he works with strikers, he works his magic. So I think Mourinho would be great for Bayern. I do believe that Jabi Alonso would also be great because it makes sense. Bayern tend to just look around Germany and say, "Oh, I want that. let me have him."
True.
And more time than not, they get the yes. We move though. Not much else I can say about that. Next team is Barcelona. Now I'm gonna start on that one. I think Mikel Arteta will be the perfect guy for that job. For me, he's Spanish. He plays a very similar attacking style to Pep Guardiola. And I think for him, after this season, when Arsenal not, I don't think Arsenal are going to win anything again this season. And I think it would be great on his CV to go to a club and rebuild Barcelona to its former glory, using the likes of Pedri and Gavi as the new Xavi Iniesta equivalent, using the youngsters that they have at the moment as well, the Yamal that has been highly touted as well. And I think if he can do the similar job that he did at Arsenal in a bigger scale for Barcelona, I think he'd be the perfect manager for that club. The only other option I do see is them bringing back Pep, but Pep seems to be happy at City. But who knows? 115 charges later, and he might be available. So,
Hmm.
Luke, do you agree, or do you have another person in mind for the Barcelona job?
No, I 100% agree with that. That would have been my pick. He played for Barcelona B team as well. So it's not like he doesn't understand the heritage, the ethos, what Barcelona is all about. Obviously he didn't play in La Masia, but you pretty much, if you play for their B team, then you pretty much know what it takes, what the philosophy is, what the style of play is. And I think with the technical ability that they have in Barcelona, with the likes of Gavi and Pedri, the Iniesta and Xavi region, I think he could cook with them still. I think it's completely different. I mean, I think we need to understand that the Premier League is always going to be different in a sense of the style of play, and the style of play that he probably wants to adopt at Arsenal. Obviously, we're seeing it in glimpses, but he probably wants to adopt a different style of play that he potentially could be more successful with at Barcelona. So I want to see him there. If he isn't successful at Arsenal, then I'd like to see him at Barcelona. I think he will only have one team to come up against. Yes, Atletico Madrid is good, but they're always inconsistent. You know, the real threat is Real Madrid, so he'll only have one team to go up against, as opposed to the Premier League where there's five, six teams that he has to come up against. So I think it will probably be a lot more easier. He's Spanish, so he'll be back home, um, and he'll be able to adopt the style that he actually wants to, which will is most likely the Barcelona way. So I'd like to see him there. Yeah.
All right. Next team is your team, Liverpool. Who do you believe is going to be the next manager?
I mean, there's no smoke without fire. I personally believe that with all this Alonso talk, we could potentially go after someone else. And Liverpool's like that. Liverpool is the type of team that we always talk about going after one player and then out of the blue we hear something else. Look no further than Salah, look no further than Van Dijk. Van Dijk came out of the blue. It came out in New Year's Eve. um, Gakpo came out of nowhere. Gakpo was actually talking to Manchester United. Then out of the blue, he signed for Liverpool. Liverpool are always the type of team where we don't do dealings in public. We keep things in house. So if we were to sign Xavi, it's probably the first time that we actually secured a signing that is very much on the radar and well known to everybody else. Um, and we have to keep in mind that Xavi Alonso signed a long contract till 2026. And again, by Leverkusen, as much as there could be a verbal agreement of him going to Bayern, Real Madrid, or Liverpool, you know, there might be big shoes for him to fill. Would he want to fill them? Again, with my team, to answer your question, I don't think anybody's ready to step up and manage Liverpool. I personally believe that Liverpool, Chelsea, United, City, Arsenal, they are all big teams with big responsibility and the expectation and demand for you to perform at a high level is very high. There's big shoes to fill from Klopp. Um, and whatever manager that does come in, they have to keep us challenging next season. There can't be a transition. So personally, I can't answer that question. I know it's a cop out, but as I said, I don't think that there's anybody out there that's credible enough to take the Liverpool job. I really don't. Uh, yes, we're after Alonso, but Alonso's not ready. Yes, he's doing well, but Bayern Munich is having one of those seasons. They dominated last year, but obviously they're struggling now because of two Taliban. So is Bayern Munich only winning this league because Bayern Munich are having a poor season? So if that is the case, then let's see what Alonso can do next season. The Zerbi, I don't think he's good enough. I actually don't think he's that great of a manager. Um, Personal opinion, and I don't think he's ready to make that step up. Um, and the Almiron guy in Sporting Lisbon, he might be because he's got the credentials. But again, it's in a foreign league. Can he adapt quick enough to keep Liverpool in a position whereby they're um they're um they're challenging? So sorry, Margie, but I can't answer that question because I just don't think nobody's ready. If Klopp had stayed one more year and you asked me that question, then I would have given you an answer because then managers potentially would have shown their worth in the next season. But right now, I don't think and nobody's shown their worth to be credible enough. And if anything, anybody that does come into Liverpool is just going to be a greater risk because the manager pool out there is not that great. Um, so yeah, that's my opinion, and I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah. I have two names in mind. I think you need more short-term support rather than a long-term decision right now. I think because of the nature of Jurgen Klopp leaving and it being all of a sudden, with Michael Edwards coming in as well, I personally believe the two names that I would look to are Hansi Flick and Nagelsmann. It keeps the same kind of theme of German managers. Uh, I think they're both in terms of the school of thought of Gegenpressing and stuff of that ilk, and it's a very similar style to Jurgen Klopp. So there's not much variation in change of style of football. So these players will be able to adapt, but it adds a fresh face, a fresh kind of conversation, and probably with them too as well, with the experience that they have in both internationally and in the German league, separately, I think they can be good short term options if you give them both a 2 year deal with a +1 if they're successful, and then in 2 years' time, look at the Xabi Alonso's of this world, the up and coming managers, and then go for someone of that ilk. Because I think Xabi Alonso, if I'm him, I would stay at Leverkusen for a couple seasons before I make the decision to move. Because there's one thing to win a title, but I always say this: there's another thing to do it back to back, and that's a different level. So I think he needs to back to back that Bundesliga, and maybe even do a third season where he wins a couple things extra, and then makes the move. Maybe even shows himself in Europe. Um, Goes far in Europa League. If he goes far in the Europa League this season, maybe he gets to the final. That's another opportunity. Goes Champions League next season, shows his worth with Bayern Leverkusen there. That's another level that we can see from him. So I would rather go for Nagelsmann and a Flick for Liverpool at this current moment. Now, next team is Chelsea. For me, I think we should go back to our heritage in terms of who we look for. Um, and heritage is to look for the defensive style manager, to look for a manager that is young, fresh, or a defensive juggernaut. Now, the two options for me are Diego Simeone and Ruben Amorim. Now, they're both two sides of the spectrum in terms of one is the young upstart. He's battling the big dogs in Benfica and Porto and top of the league. I think at the moment he's won the league before. He's had the time period where he's managed multiple seasons with a club, and he's shown his style of play in terms of doing it in the big stage as well. Obviously, last season beat Arsenal in 2 legs as well. So he's shown it against Mikel Arteta and showed it against Premier League oppositions in European football. Then on the other hand, you got Simeone. That is the kind of manager that in the Roman era was perfect for us. Defensive, solid, experience. He's the only man in recent memory that has done what he's done for Atletico Madrid, even though he knows he's the third team. There's no other league where there's 2 teams dominating like Real Madrid and Barcelona, where he does get a league now and then, where he does get a cup now and then, where he does stuff now and then. And I'm pretty sure, was it last season, season before that, where he dominated the league when they were down. So he knows how to win the league when he's up. He knows how to compete with other teams because he's in the league where he's facing 2 juggernauts of Europe, not even just of Europe, but of the world. The 2 biggest teams in many people's eyes in Barcelona and Real Madrid, and he's competing with them year in year out, making a name for himself and showing that he is capable of doing that. So if you want someone who can compete, someone who knows how to win, someone who has that mentality, I think Simeone is the better option. It'll be a lot of money, but it'll be worth it. And then Ruben Almiron is the young guy, so it'll be one of them 2 for me. What do you think, Luke?
I personally would go for Simeone. I think he's someone that I've always viewed as a potential Chelsea manager, just especially in the Roman era. I just think his style of play suits Chelsea to a T. His aggression, his bullish attitude, the intensity, the pragmatic nature of a solid defense. That is what you associate as Chelsea. Um, and I think he's got Chelsea written all over him, and it's about damn time that he left La Liga and really branched out and explored somewhere else. I think he's rotting away in Atletico Madrid. Yes, it's great that he wins a league once in a while, but come and prove yourself. Come and test your managerial ability in the Premier League. You know, the Premier League is where it's at. It's where all the best managers are. You know, if Don Carlo had it his way, he probably would be in the Premier League right now, as well. Obviously, it didn't work out in Everton. That was such a weird relationship there. But you know, he experienced it. He loved it. It was so good. It was so nice. He came back for the second time. You know, he did it at Chelsea. He came back and did it
Yeah,
at Everton. So, for me, there's no other better candidate than Diego Simeone, in my opinion. I think Almiron is good, Phantom 100%, especially because of the Portuguese heritage and all of that. That would be great to bring to follow in his Mourinho's footsteps. But I think there's no better person that just fits the blueprint of Chelsea than Diego Simeone. I'd like to see him there. Um, and I'm, as I said, just get it done, man. Make the signing, man, because he's wasting away in La Liga. He's been there for far too long, so he needs to hurry up and come prem and stop wasting time.
exactly. Now the 2 final teams that we'll quickly go on to in terms of managers, Man United and West Ham. Um, for me, I think Man United and West Ham are gonna go get 2 Brighton managers. Basically, I think United is De Zerbi. I think that's perfect for him. I think that's a nice step up. Show if he is really that guy, if he really can turn water into wine, if he really is the manager to make the step up. And for West Ham, I think Graham Potter would be perfect for them. They got ballers like Kudos, Paqueta, players of that ilk, and I think they are rotting away under David Moyes. And I think for them as well, they need a new lease of life. I truly believe that if West Ham get Graham Potter and United, the other United get De Zerbi, I think those are the kind of decision making that you need to make. Now, there's been rumours that Radcliffe wants Southgate for United. I really do hope that happens. I really do hope that happens. Um, you know what? Scrap what all I said. The perfect manager for Man United is Gareth Southgate. No, he isn't. It's probably the Zerbi. I think the Zerbi needs to step up, and that would be perfect. And Graham Potter for West Ham. What do you think for those two? For the two Uniteds, am I on
Uh,
the money or am I wrong?
no, I think you're wrong. As I said, I don't think De Zerbi's credible enough to get that big job. I don't. Um, he's been getting slapped left, right, and center. You can't beat one team but then get slapped by Luton the way that you do. Again, if you're managing the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, like you need to show that your tactical IQ is there. You need to show that in terms of going into big games that you're not open, you're not expansive. You need to show some sort of um flexibility and adaptability when it comes to certain games. And him, just like Ange Postecoglou, they only know one way, and that's the reason why they're not performing this season. Yeah, we can say, Brighton's had injuries, but every team's had injuries. Liverpool has is probably by far got the worst injury record in this league, but they're still challenging. Well, they were challenging on all four fronts, but they're still challenging in competitions. So we can't say that about Brighton. Yeah, they lost players, but everybody's lost players through transfers. If anything, Brighton has been good when it comes to recycling, selling on for profit and bringing in well potential players. So we can't even use that. For me, I just don't think he's at that level of being targeted for big jobs. There's a reason why Barcelona had him on his shortlist, and then and when he got slapped 3-4 nil by Luton, he got taken off that shortlist because they know that these things just can't be happening. Like they can't. So for me, if I'm looking at all three teams, because Newcastle's in that bracket as well, because there's no way Eddie Howe's not gonna get sacked. Uh, if he doesn't, then okay, cool. But you can't go from being in the top four and then have a poor season the way that they have. Again, yes, injuries is a big factor, but injuries is has hit everybody this season. Let's be real. So you can't be in that position to then fall down in the table and still be like, oh yeah, we're still gonna have you as manager. So he might be on a chopping block. So for me, if I'm looking at all three teams, I probably would say maybe De Zerbi for the West Ham position, and then Graham Potter for the Newcastle position, or vice versa. De Zerbi for Newcastle, Graham Potter for West Ham. Either one, really and truly. I reckon both of those two managers are taking the next step up, not a massive step up, but the next step up in a project that will probably be catered for them in a sense of the attacking players that they have at their disposal. I reckon they can unlock them and get them to play even more attractive football, better football with the likes of West Ham and Newcastle. So I think that those two clubs will be are their level. In regards to Manchester United, um, I actually don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know is because we've looked at Manchester United's managers over the last few years. David Moyes was the prodigal son. Mourinho was the ideal candidate, but he wasn't supported. He wasn't backed. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was an apprenticeship. Ralph Ragnick, um, we don't even know what he was. And then you got Eric Ten Hag, someone who had the potential to be a world-class manager, considering the football that he played at Ajax, but he's come here and he's now um demolished his philosophy, and I don't know what type of football he's playing now. So it all just depends on what direction Manchester United want to go, really and truly. So I actually don't know who they should go for. Um, really and truly, if you had to twist my arm and be like, you need to answer, then I probably would say someone like a Don Carlo or a Zinedine Zidane, someone of those that level. I probably would tempt Zidane to come back into management. I know he's not going to because he wants to stay abroad. That's fine. Then I'd probably go for someone seasoned, someone experienced like a Don Carlo who's been round the block, who's been there, who's done that, who knows how to get the best out of players, who knows how to be defensively solid, who knows how to pick out a player and actually play them in the right position, get the best out of the players. He's experienced the league before, he's won a league before, he's done fantastically well in this league. So for a temporary solution, I'd probably go after Don Carlo, and then during that 1, 2 years, see whether De Zerbi is good enough once he's been in that West Ham Newcastle setup. It doesn't necessarily have to be him. It could be Alonso. It could be Raul Almiron. It could be anybody. But what I'm trying to say is because the lack of talent pool of managers is currently unavailable or they're not that great, I probably would bring in a more senior head to steady the ship because right now United is in disarray. They're a mess. So you
Mm.
probably need our old head to come in
What about
and
Tuchel?
steady the
Would that
ship.
would Tuchel be a would be considered an old head? He's seen the league before.
Tuchel would be good. Tuchel would be good because Tuchel didn't do bad at Chelsea, and that's what people need to understand outside of Chelsea. Um, he didn't do bad. He was actually fantastic for Chelsea. He's won them the league. He's won them the CL. The only thing bad about Tuchel was that he didn't get on with the owners. But outside of that, he had a fantastic win rate. You guys played fantastic football. Um, Nothing was bad about Tuchel, and if anything, I liked Tuchel at Chelsea. And it was such a shame that you guys got rid of him. So maybe he could be good for Manchester United. As you said, he's been in the league before, he's been there, he's done that. But that's what I personally think. I think United are probably gone past the young managers to step in because of the players that they have. The players at Manchester United don't respect managers. They don't, and it's proven. They've had 5, 6 managers in their tenure, and there's different type of players and they don't respect them. So why not go beyond that? Why not go for an experienced head, a seasoned vet to come in and lay down the iron fist? And with the credibility of Don Carlo or even a Tuchel that they have with the amount of trophies that they won, they will be respectable. They would
Mm.
be respected.
Even a
And I
Conte
think
would be a kind of that.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that's what needs to happen. And I
Mm.
think once the ship has been steadied and the transition has been perfected in that 1, 2, 3 years, then start looking at the likes of the Zerbi, who's probably would have made their name, and then go after someone like him.
Yeah,
But
or the
that's
new
what I
gen.
think United need to do. Go after a senior head.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense for them, especially with the transition of ownership and what's gonna be coming up next. And I think they need 2, 3 seasons to get rid of a bunch of these players. And I think a seasoned manager would say, get rid of him, get rid of him, and yeah, and bring in him, and then build a squad for the future, really, because
Mm,
United need a whole of they need a fire sale of their club, really, in terms of players. But
yeah.
that was some interesting stuff. It was interesting to hear what you had to say about the manager merry-go-round, about the FA Cup, the wonderful, magical FA Cup. But that's been the whole that show. Not live, but we do want to say this. Hold that to all the teams that got knocked out of the FA Cup. Hold that to Tottenham for losing against spun the block in West London. Hold that for Villa for not winning your game and capitalizing on that as well. Unai Emery, you're a fraud. Anyway, and yeah, hold that to Arsenal just because, just because. But
Hmm.
this has been another episode of Hold That Show. This has been great. Jurgen did say the he did say the reporter's fat, and I agree with him. Stop asking stupid questions to Jurgen Klopp. It's his final season, man. You know what he's doing is basically he knows he's leaving the job, so he can say what he want. He might as well go off the rail. He might as well just be shooting shots like no, you know what I'm saying. He needs
Hmm.
to start going at the refs, the FA, FIFA, all of them. He's gone after this season, so he's got the loading gun. He needs to start shooting. But it's been a great episode. It's been the whole that show. I've been your host, Abdelini. That's been Luke Adonis, and we're out. Peace.